All right, Andolph, it's the moment you've been waiting for years now. And I'm going to do this in one take. It has taken me many years to write this. One take. I'm cheating, by the way. I have the words right here, so I'll stop now and then to page down. It's 8 pages on Microsoft Word. And by the way, I have moral support from our... Come on, get that reflection off of there. From our patriarch, who, by the way, is not mentioned in the song because there's plenty of mention of tequila and he would not approve. So that's why he's not in there, but we are thinking about him. We love you, Ba, and thank you for watching over. This song is called Andy's Resort. It's about Andy and the resort. But Andy's Resort is not the name of the song. Excuse me, Andy's Resort is not the name of the resort. This is why I'm only doing this in one take. It's just the name of the song, and that's why I called the song Andy's Resort. You can stay just as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort. As long as you book it up a year in advance. At Andy Walker's Ross Lake Resort. Boat right in, or you can hike in the back. They even let you in if you don't know Jack. Well, you can stay just as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort. Now, it all started 73 Julys ago. It was in 73 years ago in July. And me and my fishing buddies went up to visit Andy at the resort. But of course, Andy wasn't even born yet, much less a resort owner. And even now, Andy doesn't live in a resort. He lives in Woodinville, and there's no bell tower, not even a church. And staying in a little corner room at the resort where he goes there, Andy gets a lot of leftover partial fists of booze and cases of beer that the guests don't want to take home, and he stashes them all in a big closet where the office used to be. And seeing as how that's where the office used to be and they took that out, he decided he didn't have to drink any booze for a very long time. But we got up there on a Sunday morning, found all that booze in there, decided to be a friendly gesture for us to take the booze down to our cabin. We took that booze, put it in a blue and white resort boat, took ice cubes, limes, frozen strawberries, plastic glasses, and implements of consumption. Piled all 12 of us in that boat and headed toward Cabin 80. Well, we got there and we'd already started knocking back a few, but there was a guy named Bruce with a sign that said, Cabin 80 closed for COVID housekeeping. We'd never heard of Bruce getting into his cabin before us, and with tears in our eyes, we motored off into the sunset, looking for a place to drink Andy's booze. Well, down at the office, Tom saw us people standing up in the boat, drunk. Figured, hey, it's the Walkers, they know what they're doing. We made our way along the log boom till we came to another log boom. Went through it, way off to the side of the lake. There's this big waterfall called Happy Creek. All that water coming down made us thirsty, and we decided that booze in our bellies was a better lot than a boatload of booze, and rather than delay any longer with a boatload of booze, we drank Andy's booze right there in the boat. Well, that's what we did, spent all day drinking all that booze and over by Happy Creek there. We motored back to Cabin 8 where Bruce let us in. We had a taco dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep, didn't get up till the next morning, where we got a visit from Ranger Obie. He said, yep, we got cameras and lasers and stuff down there by that log boom. Saw a ton of people last night in an overloaded watercraft, no life jackets, fishing in closed waters. Just want to know if you had any information about it. I said, yes, sir, Obie, I cannot tell a lie. I loaned that boat to Bruce's family, all 12 of them, so they could have their firewood rodeo. Besides, Obie, Happy Creek ain't closed waters and it wasn't fishing anyway. seeking a Ranger Obie for about 45 minutes there on the dock. We finally arrived at the truth of the matter. He said we had to go over and pick up a couple empty tequila bottles that we hadn't finished. Also go down and speak to him at the ranger officer's station. So we got in the blue and white resort boat with the ice cubes, limes, frozen strawberries, plastic glasses, and implements of consumption. And we headed on toward the ranger officer's station. Now, friends, there was only one or two things that Obie could have done at the ranger station, and the first was he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the dock, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. And the other thing was he could have bawled us out, told us never to be seen driving an overloaded boat around Happy Creek again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the ranger officer's station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted on, and we was immediately arrested, all 12 of us, handcuffed. And I said, Obie, where'd you come up with all them handcuffs in a little place like Ross Lake? And I don't think we can finish that tequila with these handcuffs on. He said, shut up, kid. Get in the boat. And that's what we did. Sat in the back of that ranger boat and drove to the, quote, scene of the crime, unquote. I want to tell you about this place called Ross Lake, Washington, where this happened here. They got no stop signs, no roads, no cars, one border crossing, one dam, 2 ranger officers, 1 ranger boat. But when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 ranger officers, 10 cop boats, they was rangers, city life, border patrol, ATF, FBI, the DEA, Fish and Wildlife. A bunch of Ruby Creek pot farmers, and a reporter from the Skagit Valley Herald, being the biggest crime in the last 73 years since the dam was built, and everybody wanted to get in the newspaper story about it, and they was using up all kinds of cop equipment and military police surplus stuff they had hanging around the ranger officer station. They was taking plaster casts of tequila bottles. They was driving around in attack boats with machine guns, took 27 high-res color photographs with the government-owned iPhone 13, posted them to Ranger Obie's on Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And they posted security pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner and the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography from pot farmer's drone. After the ordeal, Obie took us back to the jail at the ranger officer's station. Obie said he's going to put us in the cell. Said, kid, I'm going to put you in the cell. I want your fishing license and your keens. Obie, I said, I understand why you want my fishing license so I don't fish out the window of the cell, but what do you want my sandals for? He said, kid, we don't need no asphyxiations. I said, Obie, did you think I was going to gas somebody for not wearing a life jacket? Obie said he's making sure, and friends Obie was, because he took out the bed frame so I couldn't bend the springs into hooks and stab myself over the shame of it all, and he took out the mattress so I couldn't unravel it, bust open the window, slide all 550 feet down the face of Ross Dam to Diablo Lake and escape. Obie's making sure, he's just making sure. It was about 4 or 5 hours later that Andy, remember Andy? It's a song about Andy. Anyway, Andy and Tom came by and the cat revved up the fire pump, hosed Obie down right through the window of the ranger officer's station till he gave up and turned us loose. We went back to Cabin 8, had a dinner of burgers and giant wieners. Couldn't be beat with a fish Owen caught, a couple of fish Owen caught from the jail cell window, and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obie came in, sat down with 27 high-res color photographs from the government-owned iPhone 13 posted to Ranger Obie's Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one, sat down. Man came in, said, all right. We all stood up. Obie stood up with 27 high-res color photographs, and the judge walked in, sat down with a coffee mug. He said, I don't do fucking Instagram. And he sat down. We sat down. Obie looked at that coffee mug, said, I don't do fucking Instagram, and then at the 27 high-res color photographs from a government-owned iPhone 13, posted to Ranger Obie's Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one. And he looked at that coffee mug, said, I don't do fucking Instagram. Then he looked back at the 27 high-res color photographs from a government-owned iPhone 13 posted to Ranger Obie's Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one, and he began to cry because Obie came to the realization that it was a typical case of American social media injustice. There wasn't nothing he could do about it. And the judge wasn't going to look at the 27 high-res color photographs from a government-owned iPhone 13 posted to Ranger Obie's Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. We was each fined $50, had to finish our tequila, and promised to wear our life jackets. But that's not what I came to tell you about. Came to talk about all these stupid tourists on the lake. They got a building down in Marble Mountain. It's called Wilderness Permit Applications, where you walk in, you get looked up, looked down, looked over, route plan, campsite assigned, first come, first serve, show up, line up, wait here, sign here, don't feed the bears, no guns, no guns. Wear your life jacket, follow the rules, don't be an idiot, approved, now get on out of here. Well, I went in to get my permit to paddle up around Hosamine. Maybe see me some imported terrorists on the trail. Met up with them pop farmers over at the Log Cabin Inn the night before, got good and wasted, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning, because I wanted to look like the all-American kid from down in Concrete. Man, I wanted to feel like I wanted to be like the all-American kid from Concrete. And I walked in, sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up, red-eyed, dead-eyed, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I walked in and sat down, and they gave me a piece of paper, said, kid, see the lady doing the Marble Merlet survey down in room 604? Well, I went up there. I said, lady, I like birds. I like birds. I like birds. Birds. I wanna go up there. No map, no food, just a rice cooker, a big old inflatable kayak, gonna blow north to Lightning Creek in like 5 minutes. Never make it home, gonna drown or get rescued by Andy. But I wanna see birds, birds, birds. And I started jumping up and down, yelling birds, birds, birds. And she started jumping up and down with me, and we was both jumping up and down, yelling birds, birds, birds. And the ranger come over, pinned a junior scientist medal on me, sent me on down the hall, said, you're our boy. I didn't feel too good about it. Well, I proceeded on down the hall, getting more gear checks, compass checks, bag checks, boat checks, route checks, food checks, all kinds of stuff they was doing to me at the thing there. I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injecting every single bit of my gear, my boat, food, even my car. And they was leaving no part untouched. Proceeded on through, and when I finally came to see the last man, I walked in, sat down after a whole big thing there, and I walked up and said, what do you want? And he said, kid, we only got one question. Have you ever been arrested? I proceeded to tell the story about Andy's resort massacre, full orchestration, and a song about 14 wieners and stuff like that, and all the phenomena. And he stopped me right there and said, kid, did you ever go to court? I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 high-res photographs shot with a government-owned iPhone 13 posted to Ranger Obie's Instagram with circles and arrows and a caption under each one. And he stopped me right there and said, kid, I want you to go and sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid! And I walked over to the bench there, and Group W is where they put you if you may not be qualified to camp on Ross Lake after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people over there, and sitting on the Group W bench, bear rapers, and marmot stabbers, and marmot rapers, marmot rapers sitting right there on the bench next to me. And they was mean and nasty and horrible crime type guys like that sitting on the bench next to me. And the meanest, nastiest, ugliest one, the meanest marmot raper of them all, was coming over to me. And he said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and promise to wear my life jacket." And they all moved away from me on the bench there, giving me a hairy eyeball, all kinds of mean, nasty things, till I said, and I had to finish my tequila. They all came back, shook my hand. We had a great time on the bench talking about crime, bear stabbing, marmot raping, all kinds of groovy things we was talking about on the bench, and everything was fine, and we was smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things till the ranger come over, had a stack of government-issued iPads in his hand, and he held them up and he said, "You marmot rapers, we got your criminal record on this heavy iPad, want to know the details, you raping a marmot or whatever sick thing you done in the restaurant officer's name and any kind of other thing you got to say." And he talked for 45 minutes and nobody understood a word he said, but we had fun filling out the forms and playing solitaire and Sudoku and stuff on the iPads on the bench there. And I filled out this old massacre, the Sunday Morning Harmony by Chris Christopherson. Wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine. And I swiped right to the next page, and there on the screen, in the middle of the screen, away from everything else on the screen, in parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" Well, I went over to the ranger, said, "Mr. Ranger, you got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to go camping, stop protected vegetation, flip my kayak, waste tax money on a rescue because I can't paddle in the damn wind, put Andy's staff and good Samaritans like Tom at risk, and make nice guys like Will haul my ass across the lake and up the hill with my rice cooker watermelon and a bag of gooey fish eyes, and you don't think I'm moral enough to do all that after stuffing 12 fully competent drunks in a blue and white resort boat?" Ranger looked at me and said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send them smelly keens downriver to headquarters in Cedro Woolley." Friends somewhere down in Cedro, stashed in an airtight locker is a ratty old pair of keens, and the only reason I'm singing you this song now is because you may know someone in a similar situation, or you may be in a similar situation. And if you're in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do, and that's you can walk into that bird lady and sing, "Bird lady, you can stay just as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort," and walk out. Two people do it in harmony. He's going to say the two of you is too much music for the peaceful shore of Ross Lake and kick you right out. And if three people do it, can you imagine three people walking into the bird lady singing a bar at Andy's Resort and walking out? They may think you're the Proud Boys. And can you imagine 50 people a day? I said 50 people a day walking in, singing a bar at Andy's Resort and walking out, and friends, they're going to think that it's a movement. Going to assume that Bruce, remember Bruce, has got to be behind it. They'll send him to prison with the Q shaman. He'll never get into his cabin before us again. And that's what it is, the Andy's Resort Massacre movement. And all you got to do is join in and sing the next time it comes around on the guitar. With feeling. So wait for it to come around on the guitar here and sing when it does. Here it comes. You can stay just as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort, as long as you book it up a year in advance at Andy's Andy's Ross Lake Resort. Boat ride in, or you can hike in the back. Even let you in if you don't know Jack. Well, you can stay just as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort. That was horrible. If you want to save campers' lives and stuff, you've got to sing out loud. I've been singing this song now for 25 minutes and might not make it another 25. I'm not proud, but yeah, I'm kind of tired. So I'll wait till it comes around again, and this time sing it with 4-part harmony. I'm feeling. We're just waiting for it to come around is what we're doing. All right now. You can stay as long as you want at Andy's Ross Lake Resort, but not with Andy. You always book it up a year in advance at Andy's Ross Lake Resort. Boat ride in, or you can hike in the back. They'll even let you in if you don't know Jack. Yeah, you can stay as long as you want. Andy's Ross Lake Resort. Da 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 da. Andy Walker's Ross Lake Resort. I think Bob approves. Happy birthday, Andy!